Fred, tell me about the project y'all were working on for your site.
Yeah, so.
I just made some chocolate chip cookies. Would you like one?
Sure, I love it.
Oh.
Hey!
There was another kid too.
When you introduce someone, you generally present the younger person.
It was actually
Mr. Johnson,
a can of Crisco on the counter too, which is
it's a
used
good
often
idea to
in
tell
Southern
something about
cooking.
one person or the other.
But you couldn't
both,
see, you
and
had to
have
know what it
something
was.
to say to each other. When you're introduced, you should make eye contact and use a greeting such as,
It's nice to meet you, Mrs. Johnson. I love cookies. Fred says you're a great cook.
offer to shake hands and have at least a brief conversation. If you're in a hurry and can't stay, excuse yourself and explain why you have to go.
I'm sorry to run in and out, but I just came by to get some notes from Fred, and my dad's waiting in the car.
Well, why don't you take some cookies home with you? That way you and your dad can have some in the car.
Thank you.
Aw, so nice.
You also need to try and use the title people will expect you to use. You can generally call people your own age by their first name, but if you're meeting an adult or someone with a professional title, they'll generally expect you to call them by a title, such as Mr., Mrs., Ms., or Doctor. When you're introducing your mother or your father or another adult, use both titles and last names. Not everyone has the same last name as his or her mother or father, and introducing your mother as Mrs. Johnson keeps your friend from having to guess at what to call her.
I really don't want to call her Mrs. Johnson if she's divorced and remarried, and her name is Mrs. Stanley. That won't get you a cookie.
When you are introducing someone your own age, use both first and last names.
This is really important.
This
okay?
is a scary movie.
Well, it's odd, and it's supposed to be odd to keep you entertained because this isn't like a hardly entertaining topic. But this is what's really important about manners. This particular example they gave about people being married or divorced and maybe having a name change, when you have manners, it's actually to be as helpful as you can to the other person. And think about this. If Colleen is trying to have good manners, and having good manners has her act or behave in a way that allows other people to share information, and everyone around this table was doing that, think about how nice it would be to meet people, to talk with people, because everyone's trying to help each other out. So what they're recommending here are really suggestions to give people the opportunity to provide you with information that's going to be as helpful to you as it is to them. And it's going to make them feel more at ease.
Mr. Whitehouse is out there. And he was grinning for some reason.
If you can remember them.
I gotta be
Oh, yeah?
Really?
Oh, I was disappointed.
Yeah, I had to be mine. But hey, Jesse.
Hi, Hannah. Sophie, this is Hannah. I'm sorry, I forgot your last name.
It's Johnson.
Johnson. Hannah Johnson. We have history together. Hannah, this is my cousin, Sophie Jenkins.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, sir.
Are you guys hungry?
Yes, let's get a line.
Okay.
So do you see, she said, I forgot your last
Let's
name.
review
It
our
wasn't a big
introduction manners.
deal. That's better than making a last name up, right?
Introduce younger people to older people. Give names as you introduce people. Tell the people you're introducing something about each other as a conversation starter. When you're introduced, make eye contact, shake hands, and say, nice to meet you. Try to hold at least a short conversation with the people you're meeting. If you're in a hurry, explain why you can't stay before you walk away.
That's right.
Telephone and
You
internet.
guys can remember that it's the telephone and the internet.
Oh.
I want to just review because it's actually almost time for break.
Oh.
See how fast this goes when it's entertaining, Colleen?
No.
So, quickly, I'd like each of you to just go around and tell me one thing that you either learned or one thing that you think was kind of good about what we saw. If you want to also offer something that you thought wasn't all that great, you can do that too, but mostly focus on something that was helpful or that you thought was good. Matt.
What?
Did you find something helpful with the video? Was there one thing you can think that you could share with us that you thought was helpful?
Everything.
Everything? Can you pick one thing?
No.
Can you try?
Just be appropriate for the people.
What's that?
Be appropriate.
And tell me one way you would be appropriate off of what we just watched.
Just not get too close to the person when you talk to them. And,
Okay, so like,
And,
time out, so that was when he pulled out the tape measure and said 18 inches, right? Is that what you're thinking of?
I didn't know that.
and just be appropriate, I'll call them ma'am or sir or whatever.
Unless
right?
it's, oh, I'm gonna
Say
correct
that
him, but
again.
after.
Don't call them ma'am or sir?
People ma'am or sir, right?
Are you saying to do that or not to do that?
Not to.
Well, actually, that's something you might want to do.
But I never did.
Well, that's why we're watching the video.
Uh-oh.
I'm actually trying to keep this walking tape because.
Uh,
Actually, it's very polite to call people ma'am and sir.
In certain areas.
Now, one thing that we've run into in the past is this. Sometimes it's tough for the students here because they think, for example, if you have a friend, let's just, for example, okay, let's say you and Ashley hang out all the time. And let's say your mom gets to the point where she knows Ashley so well, she says, oh, you can just call me Robin.
Okay.
Okay? Let's just say that, for example, and you're okay calling Colleen's mom by her first name. That's okay because Colleen's mom said it was okay. But you kind of start off really safe, so you start off and you say, when you first meet her, you might say ma'am or you might say Mrs. McFarland, you know, and make sure that that's the correct name. And then as you get to know people, you can kind of allow them in a little bit more and make it to the point where it's less formal and you say somebody's first name. Okay? So that's kind of why we do that, with me, starting off with me and sir. Okay? Alex, did you find anything at all helpful?
no.
No. Is there anything that you didn't know before watching them?
No.
You knew all of it?
Mm-hmm.
And have you ever had an opportunity to use those manners? Like when? Well, can you think of one time that you had to use those manners?
No.
What about when you are doing the horseback riding?
No.
You don't have to have manners when you're doing the horseback riding? Is there a trainer there?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to be nice to the trainer?
Yes.
Otherwise, will they kick you out?
Usually the horse will kick you off.
Maybe the horse will kick you off too, yeah.
Yeah, and be nice to, be polite to the horse as well.
Ashley kind of shared that she also didn't realize that you should be about 18 inches apart. I'm going to give you one other clue.
What?
Can I tell you this? If you're talking with somebody and you can push them while you're talking to them, you're too close. That's a big clue.
No, I know that you're
So an
not,
arm's length, and that's different for different people.
no, I know that you're not supposed to be too close to them, but I didn't know the exact distance.
Okay. Well, you know what? That's a safe distance. Like that's all around. That's probably a good distance. Now, can you whisper to somebody from that far away?
No.
No.
Yeah, but
And if you're close friends with somebody, you might whisper to them. You're not gonna be 18 inches away.
Okay.
Jose, what about you? Was there anything that you learned that was helpful or unhelpful that you learned?
I have no idea. I just actually.
How about eye contact and knowing that that's not the same everywhere? Is that something that you learned?
Yeah, that's what I learned.
No, how about you, Carl?
I learned that in different areas it's appropriate to call certain people by certain names, such as ma'am or sir. And also the same thing, Jose, I learned that you can look at somebody, but you can't, like, look in their eyes in Japan and stuff.
Right. In some cultures, and you know, I was just using that as an example. Okay. All right. Who's gonna remember it's that we're up to the internet next week?
Me.
Okay.
I know,
It's your
but-
job.
Internet.
Don't mess it up. Okay.
How come we can't give eye contact to someone in Japan when it's respectful here?
I am gonna
To understand.
Jose, for homework.
Look
between
it up.
now and next time we meet, I want you to look it up and tell us. Okay? And I actually want you to see if there's other countries that don't allow it either, or look down upon it. That was a pun. Why was that a pun? They look down on eye contact.
They look down at the ground.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Have a good break. If you have stuff, don't forget to take it.
Why did we have that video recorded along with this?
Do you want Advil for your shoulder?
No, it'll be okay.
Say yes, Ashley.